Hey niece, what up, nephew? And welcome back to another episode of the Young Aunties Podcast. Family, I missed you. How are you? Thank you so much for coming back for another episode, yet another week. I know that there was like a slight gap or whatever. We didn't have an episode last week. And let me just tell y'all, you feel me? I was fighting a whole head cold, like a whole one. I don't know if it's the changing of the seasons. I don't know what your weather is like where you are, where you might be listening, but Jersey for the last week was flip flopping. We had snow, then we had sun, then we had ice, then we had sun, so it's like cough, cough, real cough ish allergy weather. But we are happy to be here. God is good, ain't He just? I hope y'all are good and well wherever you are. I'm sorry if I sound excited or like a little bit all over the place because I am excited but not a little bit all over the place. I'm just happy to be here with y'all. Honestly, this is another us episode or whatever. Listen, I told y'all, work, me being sick, I didn't call auntie. I ain't want auntie to pull up. I ain't get an auntie or uncle to pull up this week because, I wasn't in my best condition. But best believe next week we gonna have somebody here because I know y'all probably sick of hearing me talk. I know it's all right, but I love y'all anyways. So today, you guys, honestly, yo, this last week of events on social media has driven me to the point where you see the title exactly the way it is. It's your grandmother only fans for me. Okay, and we're gonna get into this episode. We're gonna get into that much deeper as we go along. But let's just get this on out of the way. Ding, 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 ding. It's time for your auntie report. Y'all already know we working on a theme song. Don't you judge my jingle. First things first, I don't know if y'all heard about this. And you might not have actually, but there was an article published in the Atlanta Black Star, and it caught my eye. Like the line itself just caught my eye, and I figured it would be important to talk about because I think this is always something that's relevant, no matter what year it is, no matter what's going on, because society standards continue to change and continue to make certain outlandish behaviors acceptable. And when I say outlandish, I'm not judging, but I mean, those behaviors where it's just like, are you thinking about where you're gonna be in the next 10 years? Like, do people that, like get their faces tattooed or like their tongues split or like all that weird stuff that they literally change their bodies, like are they putting the thought in their mind like in 10 years or when I'm 60 years old or like, you know what I mean? Like making certain life decisions in the moment and not thinking about the consequences that could come thereafter. And, it's not just the physical things, it's the spiritual things, it's the emotional things. And this article from the Atlanta Black Star, honestly, is one of those things. And it starts with the title saying it can lead to mistakes and lifelong regret. Soul artist Erica Lachey cautions young Black women against sexual liberation. Now, before I even start reading this article, let me just emphasize that this is a safe space. This is a talking space. This is a free space. There's no judgment here. I do already from the title kind of agree, and that's just based on my own honest life experiences, that you really have to be careful about throwing sexual liberation or saying you're sexually liberated at certain things, because at a certain point in time, you can't keep that up forever. So the article goes on to say how soul artist Erica Lachey has never been shy about voicing her opinions. The gifted singer, songwriter, and musician is pro-black and she wears the title proudly, period. The ideology permeates her music and her message. It is why Lachey was compelled to take to Instagram, where she has over 200,000 followers, to do a live video on February 16th with the message: be mindful of who you have sex with because sexual liberation can lead to mistakes and lifelong regret. Lachey said she began thinking about the topic after seeing a tweet from news reporters Chevron Summers, who is Black, and in which she shared her white husband criticized their daughter's black hair. This grown man, quote, this grown man told my 9-year-old child the hair growing out of her head looked messy and like a weird mushroom. She asked me in her little voice if it's true, and instead of wearing it out today, she put it in a ponytail. Now I have to fight this MFer. Summers tweeted. Her ruminations about the subject led Lachey to think about a different topic, the sexual liberation of women. She said today's culture encourages women to sleep with whomever they want, whenever they want, and however many men they want. Lachey warned of the dangers of embracing this ideology. Quote saying, "You want to go ahead and just have sex with whatever N- uh yeah, this is what am I talking about? Why am I hesitating? You want to go ahead and have sex with whatever nigga that you want to have sex with, then end up getting pregnant by one of these fools because you was fighting the patriarchy one peen at a time. Go ahead and do that. And then you gotta raise a child with a self-hating fool that you had sex with because you were so sexually liberated." At the end of the article, Lachey begs, young ladies, please don't listen to these old, bitter, dried up, used up women on Twitter. Please, on any of these websites or social medias, because misery loves company. As for anyone who disagreed with her position, Lachey also had a message for them. I don't care if y'all call me a misogynist or a bigot. I said what I said. So much that can potentially be unpacked in just this article alone. Honestly, it's the article is on atlantablackstar.com, you guys. So y'all can definitely go read for yourselves because we believe here reading is fundamental and important. In the article though, like I think that's so important. Like the first portion that even drove her to have a conversation about, the white father that commented on his mixed child's hair, saying it was a mess and so on and so forth. And the little girl feeling away and she's 7, you know what I mean? And that's super vulnerable time in a child's self-image and development. And this is not a psychology talk, but you can definitely look it up. That's a super sensitive time where you start to really find out and define who you are and or how you see yourself, about when you turn 5 actually. But at 7 years old, for her father to make such a comment about her hair, I agree totally with Lachey's first point. Like you got to be careful of who you lay down and have a child with. I think it's so important that we have to be aware as women, as those that want to be mothers, as those that want to, just be able to give life to someone else. You got to be careful with who you laying down with, and like legitimately you can't just consider it as, oh, I'm gonna just lay down with this person and no holds bars, it is what it is, blah 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 blah, like God gonna protect me always. And that may just be true, but you also do not play Russian roulette, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if you get pregnant by someone that you don't really know, let alone like have any idea how they deal with certain situations, how they deal with stress, how are they with money long term. Like, if you don't know this person and you get pregnant by this person, I'm not saying that a co-parenting situation may not work out. Like you may be able to develop a genuine, friendship outside of, the child as the child gets older. But I just feel like it's a little bit messier. And honestly, I don't have any kids of my own. I have a cat, okay? But at the same token, it's just like I think that is a hesitancy. Like I need a stable partner and a stable relationship before I even think about bringing a child into this world with someone else. Like there's I will adopt a kid first before I lay down with somebody and not know who they are and this be the result. Like we're not going to do that. No, 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 no. But the bigger point that Lachey made, about sexual liberation, and like I said, the culture we live in now, that whole Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Sweetie, like WAP culture, Doja Cat, like that culture that we live in, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like we do a wide brushstroke of sexual liberation because women for so long have wanted to be somehow, some way equal to what a man can do. Like how a man can sleep with 20 women and he's the man, and a woman sleeps with 20 men and she's a slut. The reality of the situation is there shouldn't be a desire for you to want to have sex. I believe it like this, like with just any old body. I believe it like this, and this is something that even me personally now, I am still figuring out, and I got it now. You really are the prize. A man being able to penetrate you is a privilege. Penetration is a privilege. I'm putting it on a t-shirt. Penetration is a privilege, not an obligation, not a responsibility, not because I'm supposed. No, no, no. It's a privilege. And I'm not a prude because I choose to not just let any and everyone feel that privilege. When you know what you got, whether you got WAP or not, you gotta know everybody don't deserve that, because some people, their motives really ain't what they say they are. What they in your face. And I love the idea of women, saying like, well, I'm controlling it. Like, he didn't do this, I did this. Like, he didn't fuck me, I fucked him. But it'll be the same women that will then get emotional, that will then get aggressive, that will then get possessive, that will then feel like they deserve something, that will then cause complications. They cannot keep it sexual. I don't know if this is just me or if this is the friendship circle I've been around or women I've known over the years, where a woman genuinely, honestly being able to participate in a friends with benefits relationship is so far fetched, because somehow, some way, emotions get involved and it convolutes everything. And I don't know if I've had these conversations with too many of my guy friends or whatever, but it's like, yo, there's no way. Women, we got to stop denying this, that we're not emotional creatures. We are, and it's okay. Our sex is tied to our emotion. It's okay. We're going above and beyond. Like, you see all these posts on Instagram and Facebook, these memes and stuff about, like, how a happier woman is a nastier woman. Yeah, because our emotions are tied to our sex. Listen, if I don't like you, you could say the wrong thing and I might already be hot and bothered. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm over it. Anything I had planned in my mind to do before you pissed me off is out the window. And if I feel like, like maybe you did something special, and it could be me. But I feel like it's not. I feel like this might be a part of the womanhood sisterhood. Your man do something special. He make you feel nice, or he do something thoughtful or whatever. You might throw a couple tricks out there. You ain't showed them in a while. Why? Because you show we're affectionate creatures, right? Like, that's how we show. We show our affection through our body, through our love, through our talk, through our everything. That's how we are. And we know consciously as women, us presenting ourselves to a man, consciously or unconsciously, us presenting ourselves for a man's pleasure on our own accord. No one's forcing us to do this. It's absolutely emotional. I'm going out of my way to get lingerie, to set the scene, to get the oils, to get the candles, to get the pet. I'm going out of my way. You can't tell me that's not emotional. So sexually liberated is cool and all and fine, but you are still an emotional person. You are still an emotional creature. Now, again, safe space, no judgment. If you can get down and rock out with the best of them and there's no emotions, and you know what, you gonna do what you want to do, and you aware of the potential consequences. So you safe, you not, out there just shacking up. You ain't just letting nobody hit it raw dog. You taking your precautions, then the long term don't apply to you. Maybe. I don't know. I know for me, when I saw this title of this article, I said I gotta agree with that, because it's a conversation that's going on in the culture with young girls at a very young age, very, very young age, that are getting a warped ideology of what sexual liberation is, of what sexuality is, of what being free and confident in yourself allows you to do, what that real confidence means. Real confidence means you don't have to show it to any and everybody. You know you got it. So there's no need for 20 dudes to see. Like, I get it. If if 10 locks can fit, if 10 keys can fit in a lock, you know, we might need to get that lock looked at. But that's just me. Um, I know we all heard about this. The emancipation of Kanye West has finally come upon us, ladies and gentlemen, after 7 years of prison with the West family, with the not the West, yeah, the West, because she took his last name, with the Kardashians. Mr. Kanye West is finally going to be emancipated, and I know that might sound really weird and strange coming from me, but let me explain. An article came out On TMZ on the 19th, big old letters. Kim Kardashian files for divorce from Kanye West. The article says that Kim Kardashian has filed to divorce Kanye after almost 7 years of marriage, but our source says it's as amicable as a divorce can be. Kim is asking for joint legal and physical custody of the couple's 4 kids. Sources will direct knowledge. It says sources with direct knowledge, tells TMZ Kanye is fine with the joint custody arrangement, and we're told both Kim and Kanye are committed to co-parenting together. There's a prenup, and we're told neither party is contesting it. In fact, our sources say they are already far along in reaching a property settlement agreement. They got a lot of assets to divvy up, y'all. So let's be clear. Let's give some backstory to this, right? Because 7 years ago, there was so much different with Kanye 7 years ago. If those of us that might appreciate Kanye West as a musician, as an artist, I will give Kanye his musical dues. Like he is a genius when it comes down to music. Like let's just call it what it is. He's a genius when it comes down to music. And if you follow his discography, you keep up with him and his life and what happened. Everyone knows after his mother passed away, he was never the same. After his car accident, he was never the same. So there was like a lot of things that happened to Kanye that affected him. And when his mother passed, his mind totally changed. Like things totally went. So over the last couple of years, Kanye has done things and said things and did certain things. Like, I mean, even when he jumped on the stage at the MTV Awards and said that Beyonce should have won an award in front of Taylor Swift, that is not normal behavior. Normal people would not get up at a televised event, knowing it's televised, to do something like that. You know what I mean? And I mean, Kanye's not normal, but at the same time, it kind of gives a thought like, was there any issue with his mental health? Because his mental health did not become a public concern until what? Correct me if I'm wrong, 2017, 2018. We started to say, something might be wrong with Kanye. Somebody talked to Kanye, whatever, whatever. Like when he got on the bandwagon, it was a lot of stuff that was going on with him and Kim when they was married that we could see, that we was like, all right, is Kanye okay? The weight loss, the weight gain, the hair, the clothes, it was a bunch of stuff. We was like, is Kanye all right? We're gonna pray for Brother West. Keep Brother West on the prayer list for the sick and shut in. But as it got more, it just turned into this like monster, like this thing. And then when he jumped on Trump's bandwagon, it was like all hell in the black community broke loose. We disassociated ourselves with Kanye. Didn't nobody want to be bothered with Kanye. And it was just like, Kim was working with Trump to get that lady out of jail. Like it was a lot. It was too messy. It was a lot going on. And I mean, me personally, I'm gonna just say this right here, right now. I don't give a damn about the Kardashian camp. I honestly don't. I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and knock nobody hustle, but I'm not gonna praise how Shorty got her millions. You feel what I'm saying? Like, sis, we know how you got your start. Like, you were Paris Hilton's assistant, and then you became a porn star, and that's where we're at now. Post 10 years later. So, and then, your people wanted to get involved in your life and your family's life. I don't know why, but either way, I've just never really been particular to the Kardashian clan. I've had an uncomfortability with the way they parade black men and black women features in our culture. I have a problem. Okay, I have a very deep problem with the Kardashians because I feel like they got an imposter syndrome. Like they low key, high key might be related to Rachel Dolezal, like some way, some shape or form. Because they fit. To me, it's like y'all want to be black. Y'all want to be black women so bad. Y'all want to have black kids. Y'all want to be with black men. Y'all want to have black body features, but a European face. Like I don't know what you want me to do. And I'm not saying that their body shape is only reserved to the black community. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the structure and manner of which they go about it. Okay, I said what I said. So anyway, the article gives context that it was during the last half of 2020 when things got super rocky for Kanye. Like when he launched his presidential campaign on July 4th and weeks later held the bizarre campaign event in South Carolina. At one point, a sobbing Kanye told the story of a discussion he had with Kim talking about abortion when she was pregnant with their first child. Um, Multiple sources with direct knowledge told us Kim was ready to call it quits after Kanye's outburst, if not for Kanye going through a serious bipolar episode. So, this is where Black mental health is important. Check on your strong friends. Kanye West suffers from bipolar disorder. Look it up if you don't know what it is. It's severe chemical, it could be a chemical imbalance, it could be a personality disorder, and there's different spectrums of bipolarism. So, it's not just one base level. Okay, that's my psychology coming up. Just letting y'all know. So he was having a serious bipolar episode, just like depression episodes can last for months and months. A person that suffers with a bipolar disorder or any kind of mental condition, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, and this is knowledge y'all didn't ask for, but I'm gonna give you anyway, just to give more context and to kind of enlarge our compassion bubble. People that have serious mental illnesses, when they go through what is called an episode, there's no cap on how long that episode can last. I remember reading an article a couple years ago about this woman, and these are all things that you can look and research and look up yourself. But like that woman Sybil, who had like 16 personalities, some of those things last for years. Like, you can get stuck in your mind, get stuck for years, and it might trigger itself out. Something else might trigger you to snap out of it. But people that suffer with real mental illnesses that they cannot control, whatever chemical imbalance, whatever it is, they last for a long time. Kanye West, being a multi-million dollar celebrity, A-list celebrity, having a episode, a mental breakdown, is what we saw in 2020. I personally feel so bad for celebrities like that don't get the opportunity to be a human being, to take a step back, to heal themselves, to seek the help they need without it being dramatized or romanticized or fetishized. Like, it's so stupid. But anyways, things got rocky with the couple, and they were living separate for a few months. He was spending a lot of his time in Wyoming. Remember, he was always in Wyoming or whatever. He was spending a lot of time in Wyoming while she was in Calabasas with the kids. The issue, we were told, it wasn't contentious or ugly, but their differences in lifestyle and politics were chief among them. Um, this will be Kim's third divorce. She was married to music producer Damon Thomas before they divorced in 2004. She married Chris Humphries in 2011, and that lasted for 72 days. And this is Kanye's first divorce. So this is Kanye's first divorce and his first marriage. Um, Listen, we gonna keep them in prayer. We gonna keep Brother West in prayer. I personally feel like, it might be a good sign that they're going through with the divorce now. I applaud Kim, at least for being compassionate, that she didn't leave her husband while he was really ill, and she knew he was ill and she had to deal with that. So my heart goes out to her as a woman dealing with someone with a mental illness, and having to navigate that and being like, I got to think about myself. I got to think about my kids, of course. But at the end of the day, I said, in sickness and in health till death do us part. And I'm not going to leave him while he's in the worst of it. And it could also be, it wouldn't look good for the optics. Like, if it came out that Kanye was having a mental episode when she left him, that would look like real bad for her. She could get thrown under the bus. But a lot of people would be like, well, you did what you had to do for you. Like that whole, it's something about that family that I feel like they have the potential. Maybe it's just because I really have a disdain for Khloe Kardashian, but like they can somehow, some way flip a narrative to where they're the victim and we're supposed to feel bad for them. But it's like, but you're trifling as fuck, so I don't feel bad for you. But anyways, that's what TMZ had to say. Um, One more thing that I found was really interesting before we get into the real topics at hand for this episode, and it might be funny to you, it was funny to me. This is the title, no cap. A 19-year-old man is accused of faking his own kidnapping to get out of going to work. Now, y'all, I know that in my days, I have made up all kinds of excuses to get out of work. I done had family and friends call my job saying there was an emergency just so I could get out of work because I didn't want to be there anymore. So I get the excuses. You understand what I'm saying? I know excuses to getting to work late, all that, okay? You can't bullshit a bullshitter. Excuse me. You understand? But seeing that this 19-year-old man is accused of faking his own kidnapping Kidnapping. You said somebody kidnapped you to get out of work? Let's read the article, shall we? A 19-year-old man in Coolidge, Arizona was arrested for allegedly faking his own kidnapping so he could get out of work, police reported. The Coolidge Police Department said in a statement that Brandon Soules, I don't know how you say it, Soules, was arrested on February 17th on charges of false reporting, a misdemeanor, after he admitted to officers during an interview that he made his kidnapping up. Officers said on February 10th they responded to a scene where a man had his hands bound behind his back with a belt and a bandana stuffed in his mouth. The man, who was later identified as Soules, told officers that two men were wearing masks kidnapped him. This is sounding a little bit Jesse Smollett, but let's keep going. He said he was knocked unconscious and driven around before eventually being dropped off near the town's water tower. He had a whole backstory, y'all. He was not only lying to his job, this man lied to the cops. He made up a whole, like, yo, I don't put nothing past people. Nothing. I don't put nothing past people. The article says that according to a police report obtained by the New York Times, Soules told investigators he believed he'd been kidnapped because his father had hidden a large sum of money in the desert. Police determined there was no hidden money. When I tell y'all, this is ridiculous. When confronted by the allegation that he fabricated the story, he admitted that he made up the story as an excuse to get out of work. The police told the Times that Soules worked at the tire factory, installing tires and driving around the area to pick up parts. A Facebook account that appears to belong to him says he no longer works there. Brandon Soules did not immediately reply to insiders' requests for comment. The Coolidge Police Department did not reply to insiders' email requests for comment and records at the time of publication. This article came out on February 24th, 2021. This is on insider.com. Let me just back up to something real quick. He said he told police that he thought he was kidnapped because his father hid money in the desert. You know, lately I've been watching a lot of crime documentaries on Netflix. They got some real good ones. The Staircase, I'm finishing that one up. It's some real good ones. I've been watching these white folk kill each other, or at least be accused of killing each other. And you know, the stories that the prosecution and the DA that they be coming up with to like explain all of this stuff and like give a background of how something could have happened, because you know we'll never know what actually happened because nobody was there, but they'll go based on the evidence or whatever what happened. And I just have a question as to why go so far in the lie. Like I think I don't have that energy anymore. Like I'd rather just say I'm sick or I don't feel well and go to the hospital or the doctor and get a slip, you know what I mean? Just so I can stay at home, or just tell them I'm not coming into work. You know, I can't make it today. Then make up a lie and get a whole misdemeanor. And you know, I don't think, and I'm saying this because it's Black History Month and I feel like this is probably appropriate. I don't think a black person would have did nothing like this. I don't think we would have took that chance of potentially getting the cops involved in our BS when the cops are already ready. They can't wait to get involved in our BS. I don't think I would potentially say I got kidnapped just so I would get out of work. That's like if I'm gonna say I got kidnapped, I'm going on vacation. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way. I'm going on vacation. I'm not here for like a week. Like I'm going. Like I'm gonna tell my family that I'm not gonna tell my family where I went. I'm gonna tell them I'm going to the store and I'm gonna go to the airport and I'm gonna just take pictures and not post nothing. I'm not gonna post nothing. I'm not gonna be on social media. I'm not gonna do none of that. Like I don't know, cause they could trace back stuff with IP addresses. So I don't even know if that worked. You couldn't even be able to take your phone with you. Like that just made me mad. That was dumb. That was stupid. But that is the end of your auntie report. Ding 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 ding. We working on the jingle. Don't judge my jingle. So now you guys, we are going to get into the reason why we are here. The title of this episode, it's your grandma's OnlyFans for me. Now, I don't know how you would not know or have not heard about this, but I had to do some digging myself actually to find this and to find the actual article. And it's not even an actual article. It's just, truth be told, it's just a picture and a video. But let me give you context as to where I'm coming from. So I was on Instagram, scrolling on Instagram, and I see this like older woman stacked body, blah blah blah, boom, like boobs, bow, small waist, bow, kadunk, bow, like she just got it. And I'm looking at the video like she was just walking like back and forth. I'm like, okay, she got her body on her, whatever. And Instagram be having a swipe. So I swipe to the left, and it's these memes that's like, it's her being 59 years old for me. It's her being a pastor's ex-wife, da da da, this, that, and the third for me. And I said, ain't no way this woman is really a pastor's ex-wife. Because, you could make a meme out of anything. You just got to throw some font and some background on some stuff on the app, and it's done. So I'm just like, nah, this ain't real. This ain't real for sure. And I'm looking at it. Sure enough, there's a article. Well, not an article. It's a post and a comment section on worldstarhiphop.com. Now, I don't go on Worldstar Hip Hop. It takes too much energy for me to go on Worldstar Hip Hop. But this is where this is. And literally, it says the title is 59-year-old grandma is loving herself after leaving her pastor husband who was shaming her. Now, y'all, I actually did some research on this one. And from what I can understand from looking at, before we get into this specific comment section, that because there's a conversation that happened, and this is why we're here, and why I also talked about the sexual liberation and things like that, because at some point in time, I just wonder at what age does the light bulb go off that you might be a little too old for this shit now, that you might need to sit your ass down, that you might, even if you want to be sexually liberated, you can be classy about it. You could be classy based. You don't gotta be trashy. And I'm not saying, again, no judgment, but I feel like there's a certain mannerism that as a woman you should just conduct yourself with. Like, I believe all women deserve the utmost respect, right? Regardless. But I'm also aware of how you carry yourself, man, woman, dog, or cat. How you carry yourself affects how people show you respect and how they allow you to earn respect. It changes everything. I've worked in customer service for over 10 years. Since I was 16, I worked in customer service, 15, 16. Okay. And I know from multiple job interviews to seeing multiple different kinds of people that how you present yourself, whether that's how you really are or not, is how people take you to be. So let's just say you might at 21 years old might be real trashy, this, that, and the third. You keeping it up when you 31. Now you about to be 41 and you still on it. Don't be mad if I'm looking at you like you might be a little bit too old for it, because I'm asking you, when do you, like, I'm looking for when you grow out of it. Like, or if you never had it, are you now trying to go back in time? And don't get me wrong. A lot of people be like, oh, women that don't have the body to do what other women do that do have the body are just jealous. Absolutely not. I think that women are beautiful of all ages. It would be super hypocritical of me to say that I think that what this woman is doing in the sense of, her quote unquote sexual liberation as not good, when I praise and I'm looking at, pictures of Angela Bassett. I'm looking at pictures of Tony Braxton. I'm looking at pictures of Holly Berry. And these are all older women up in their 50s and up. And that's not even talking about all the black women in Hollywood who are older, who are in prime condition, whose bodies are banging, who are also classy based, who also know how to show they sexy, how to show they confident. Your sexual liberation should not be for the internet. It shouldn't be. And I believe after you hit 30, I strongly believe after 30, thirst trapping should stop. the all that, it should stop. Why are you thirst trapping after your 30s? Shouldn't the caliber or like the way that you go about getting a guy be different, or getting a partner be different? Like, and again, no judgment, but it's just a question. Can it be different? So the reason why I'm bringing up this woman and this whole situation is because sexual liberation, and then you being, malicious or facetious, because the article says, like, the title says, like, she's quote unquote flaunting herself and showing herself all this self-love online and so on and so forth, because her ex-pastor husband was shaming her. Now, I was looking through the comments, and it appears that, she just likes to wear what she likes to wear, and he didn't like that, and I guess he shamed her for it or whatever. But this is a comment section between this woman. Her name is Lynn Littlejohn, or at least that's what it is up here, and on TikTok I think her name is actually like pastor's ex-wife, um and a young lady named Sis Gunnafinna. So I'm gonna just read a couple parts of this conversation, because it started off as just Sis Gunna Finna just commenting. Like, she just commented, she looks great for 59, but she also knew what she signed up for when she married a pastor. I also don't think it's tasteful to not dress within one's age group. If you see this woman, she is not dressed like she's 59. She's dressed like she's in her 20s or her 30s. You know what I mean? Like, she ain't got no kids. She ain't nobody grandmother. You know what I mean? Like, she's not. She's dressing like I feel like the equivalence would be, if a man was having a midlife crisis, he would go and get a fast sports car and be looking to have sex with a lot of young little girls that wouldn't know better, because he needed to feel young again. Because he needed to get that back where he feel like he lost all those years, or he's having a moment where he needs to just get himself together again. I feel like this might be her thing. Like, she might have actually, being married to a pastor might have actually squelched so much of who she was, or who she could have been, or who she was going to develop into, or who she might have wanted to be before they got married. That while she was married, she could have had a certain level of resentment that she just held in the back of her mouth, and just stayed married. You know what I mean? So there's a bunch of reasons why people get married and stay married, but afterwards, and no one can judge your healing process, because a divorce is not easy for anybody. um I'm not judging her. I just believe that, you can be liberated, you can be free of your husband, you can be yourself and everything else. I just think that you should do it within your age group. So I agree with Sis Gunna Finna in here. She goes on to say, I also don't think, oh yeah, she says, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. We say this about people that, you know, can wear certain outfits, don't mean you should wear certain outfits. You can wear an outfit that's two sizes too small for you. Should you? I don't know. You absolutely can, but should you? Right. She says, I welcome aging and experiencing life while closing and opening chapters of my life. Hope she gets the grip. Now, mind you, that's just a comment. There's a bunch of other comments. It's just a comment. Sister Lynn got too much time on her hands. She ain't got nothing to do. She ain't first lady no more, so she ain't got responsibility. So she online responding to comments under a World Star Hip Hop page. She responds and says, Sis, then you make sure you keep your Mary Poppins dress around. I love my dresses tight, short, pencil thin. Just saying, love that shit. Been Mary Poppins too long. See what I'm saying? She trying to get back what she feel like she lost, but she lost, with a couple years. Sis Gonna Finna says, as an older woman, you didn't already enjoy that chapter of your life, like not even being funny. I'm 23 and have started finding that I've lived and enjoyed that style of dress and lifestyle, but as I grow and flourish, it doesn't fit my life anymore. I'm ready to focus on the meaningful and not superficial aspects of life now. That is a very mature statement for a 23-year-old young lady to make. Like, you're only 23, you're looking at a woman who's 26 years, what's that, 36 years, you're senior, looking at her outfits and saying, I literally grew out of dressing like that. I mean, me, it's kind of dated. Like, you can wear your dresses tight, short, and pencil thin, but they don't got to be dated. You don't got to do it in a dated way so that it makes you look like you're trying to keep up with the young people, and a lot of young girls ain't even wearing what you wearing. So you like what you like. But anyways, Lynn responds and says, I understand, sis. You are a product of your upbringing. I get it. You are 23, so be quiet and stay in your place, Mother Finna. Enjoy yours, XOXO. Finna says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. It was a quote. Then Lynn responds and says, Mother finna stay in a child's place, boo. Okay, you sound ignorant to say a woman that is dressed nice or even sexy is acting like a child. That's not what she said. That's not what she said. She didn't say that you acting like a child. She didn't say anything like that. The quote was, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. The same thing is to be said. But when I became a woman, I put away childish things. When I was a young girl, I slept around. When I was a young girl, I dressed like the weather outside didn't matter because I wanted to be cute. When I was a young girl, I did X, Y, and Z. Da, 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 da. But when I became a woman, when I stepped into my womanhood, whatever that step is, I let those things that I used to do go. I let them go. That's what Finna was saying. She ain't call nobody a child. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like this whole thing, and it irritates me to another part of my core where like older people will think that they're above reproach because you're the elder. Like, no, 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 you're not above reproach. There's a way to go about correcting an elder. You can correct them. You can talk to an elder, someone older than you, with respect and give them perspective and still tell them that they're wrong and not be disrespectful. And I didn't see how what was said, like the response that she got, didn't equate. Not for me. Didn't equate. Um, Lynn says, to say the woman acting like a child, is acting like a child. Be quiet. As you know, they say a person can seem smart until they open their mouth. So shut yours, boo. Someone named Janet Planet said, you should take your own comment. Now, she responded to Lynn. She said, you should take your own comment personal. You sound trashy when you open your mouth. How are you, 59? No respect for yourself and sounding and looking like you just got picked up from the next corner. These comments, this is why people be looking at a post. They don't go to the post to look at it. They go to the post for the comments. If you don't know about it, the comments is where it's at. Lynn says, hey Janet, how are you? She's petty. Mother Lynn is petty. She said, hey Janet, how are you? Make it a great day. Oh, by the way, not a good look when you see a woman happy and you go in on her. It speaks volumes of your inner Selah. Girl, no, you didn't go scripture. Finna responds and she says, LMAO, I'm ignorant, but you're confusing trashy and dressed nice, sexy. Just say you're having a midlife crisis and move the fuck around, old man. Old ma'am. Janet responds to Finna said, sad lost thing. Finna said, LMAO, she's too damn old to be getting lost in the sauce again. Lynn responded and said, you went from trying to preach to say I dress trashy. You so silly. I've heard pastors say all kind of things from across the pulpit. So if somebody trying to say they or you trying to say somebody preaching and they call you trashy, I mean, I've heard pastors describe Jezebel in the Bible. So hey, listen, it's not going. Anyway, Finna said, I said the same thing the first time nicely. Now I'm saying it blunt. I guess with age goes your comprehension, huh? Petty, 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 petty. Um, Listen, I'm not even gonna keep going through the comments because they literally had just way too much time on their hands. But the overall sense of this is like, honestly, for me, I didn't feel like what the young lady commented from the beginning was wrong. It was her opinion, just like everybody else on this post gave their opinions. And I think what blew mine, honestly, was all the thirsty bucket looking men, all the desert Sahara mouth ass men that's talking about, oh, they would do this to her, they would do that to her. Oh, hey, Miss Johnson, hey, Miss this, hey, Miss that, or I would do this, I would do that. Y'all men, yo, some of these men out here, bruh, make being a woman confused because y'all be ready to jump at anything that's tight and look like it's ready to do whatever you want. Y'all are so fucking simple. Like I didn't understand like how you just seeing and I guess I do. I guess I do. I guess age don't matter. It don't matter because you just see body and pussy. That's what you see. So it don't matter that she 59. It don't matter she old enough to be a grandmother and she might turn your ass out. It don't matter nothing about this. You see Miss Johnson. You see Miss Lynn, Miss Littlejohn. This is not Miss Johnson. This is Miss Littlejohn. You see Miss Littlejohn in a tight dress, slow walking in an apartment with no furniture in it, and you sit here talking about something you gonna break her back. Have some respect. Have some respect. The, men, this ties into why it is important for you to not just say you're sexually liberated. Men will stick their dick in anything that allows them to do it. I've seen so many stories of men that have accidentally gotten their penises stuck in freaking garbage disposals, in pencil sharpeners, in a bunch of stupid things just because it's there. Because it's there. Okay? Out of curiosity, just to see if it fit. They do stuff like that. You sit here saying you sexually liberated, and he's saying I'm knocking down as many as I can before I turn 30. So by the time I turn 30, I get it all out my system. I'm sowing my wild oats, but you're sexually liberated. I hate to say it, ladies, we don't get to play that card. And just like Lachey said, you can call me a misogynist, you can call me a big like Auntie Coy. That is so misogynistic of you. And I said what I said. I wouldn't, and I'm not going to, if God bless me with a daughter. I've made the mistakes that we're talking about right now, learned about, and God bless me to not live with lifelong regret. But claiming sexual liberation, doing whatever, whoever, whenever I wanted to, from a hurt place, from a malicious place, from a lost place, from a confused place, from a place I didn't know myself, had no idea what my worth was, how it was attached to my body, how my worth is attached to me. Not what I can do, not what I can quote unquote bring to the table. And that's a whole nother one because that's another conversation. I'm going to get into that because I could play both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? Like, I can see the logic of women and I can see the logic of men. And it's just very frustrating that I feel like, as a woman, it's almost like I'm attacking or I'm seen as being, evil or hateful or bitter or whatever because I speak on another woman's character or in a way that I feel like is a cause for concern. If a 16-year-old girl was out here catching 10 bodies a night and she ain't on the street, she ain't nobody hooker, she ain't nobody crackhead, she ain't nobody nothing. She just say she getting out her system. Do we feel bad for her? Or do we let her say she's sexually liberated? What age is it no longer sexual liberation? When can we be concerned? When can we say just because this makes you comfortable doesn't mean I can't be uncomfortable? Like, I think that that's something important that needs to be addressed. Listen, what makes you happy is what makes you happy. Singular, you, not plural, other people. Same way back in the day we used to say, your comfortability makes me uncomfortable. Like when you would see people dressed in a certain manner, or you might see them, outside doing something or whatever, but they're comfortable doing it. Like, no, y'all not outside my window while I'm talking to the family like this. You had people that when you would see them, dressed or even behaving in a certain manner, that you knew they were comfortable. We would always, look at white people in Walmart and stuff like that, how they dressed or what kind of outfits they'd have been caught in that then got put on the internet. But they're totally comfortable. Or not even just white people, black people. You've seen people dressed in a way that has made you frown up your face, made you want to turn your head, made you after you look at it, maybe take a double take to make sure you saw what you saw. And it bugs your mind. Cause like, yo, how could you possibly be comfortable in that? But then you realize that that person is comfortable, they're happy, they're doing whatever they want to do, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. I used to dance working out, and I still might, and I'm still gonna do it when it gets warmer. But I used to dance outside at the park, just outside, put my headphones in, turn into a whole Beyonce background dancer. Couldn't tell me nothing. people walking by me and everything else. Now, my dancing made me happy, but somebody else that might not like my dancing or might not like dancing or whatever, it could have made them uncomfortable. So goes life. Your happiness is not tied to anybody else's happiness. What you eat don't make me shit. So what makes you happy don't have to make me happy. It can make me uncomfortable. It can make me be like, I don't like that. It can make me say, I'm not going to accept that. It makes you happy, but it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't serve me. But I'm not going to hinder what makes you happy. Case in point, Miss Little John. I'm not. Ma'am, live your life. I don't know what it's like to be married to a pastor, even date one. I have no idea. And you might have been married to the man for over 10 years. I don't know what you had to go through. I had some friends where I could see what they were going through just because of how close in proximity they were to their own pastor. So I can only imagine being married to one. And that's not, your shared calling, like, you're also not a minister or something, so you might not have the same level of understanding. I get it. You might have went through a lot. You might have lost a lot of years. You might have been denied who you really are. A lot of you might not have been satisfied in your marriage. So now you're in a deficit and you're trying to fill that up. But all due respect, as my elder, I don't want to see you in that. I don't care how nice your body is. I don't care how. I don't give a damn. That's nice, Mrs. Lil John. That's nice. That's real nice. You look nice. But where you going? You putting that on the internet. Oh, okay. So convince me that you're not doing this to spite your ex-husband. Would you do this if you wasn't getting a divorce? Would you do this if the terms of your divorce weren't the terms that they are? Is this really for sexual liberation? Or are you trying to make somebody jealous? I have so many more questions because at 59 years old, at 59 years old, God bless you to see 60. No, ma'am. No, sir. Maybe it's my background. Maybe it's my upbringing. Just like the young lady on the post, just like Lachey, your surroundings, your environment, how you were raised absolutely plays a part on how you perceive and encounter the rest of the world and how you look at other people. And what you say is okay and what you say is not okay. But at the end of the day, my whole thing is this. If you want to cast stones, let he without sin. Okay? So I'm not casting a stone. I'm just giving my opinion. And honestly, my opinion may not mean nothing because everybody has one, just like everybody have an asshole. And shit can come out of it just like it can come out of yours. With all good intentions and love and due respect. You feel what I'm saying? That's just that on that. So, y'all, this is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed pulling up to the house when your auntie is here as well. Make sure you keep up with the Aunties Podcast on Instagram at the Young Aunties Podcast. Also, please, 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 please make sure that you subscribe to this. Please follow the podcast. It means so much to me to know that you are going to be here every week. So I know the family is growing and I know that, hey, listen, if something happened one day, we could do a meetup, when COVID get its life together and come to the auntie's table, real life. But anyways, I'm gonna go, y'all, because I'm rambling. I'm tired. I had a long day at work. I just missed y'all, and I'm so excited to be able to create content for y'all. And I'm going to do my absolute damnedest to have a guest unc or auntie on for you next week. But until then, y'all be blessed. Have a great week. Stay safe. Wear your mask, please. Please, still wear your mask. I don't care what Biden talking about. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Ain't no stimulus gonna save you if you're in a hospital. You can't spin it, okay? Love y'all. Auntie Koi is out. Deuces.